Hey everyone, I am the Red Baron at Baroncast. With me is Chowster. He's been joining us today along with Dan Din to watch these IPL4 qualifier matches, and we finally have Curse versus TSM. They're back from their Curse Invitational tournament, and it should be a pretty exciting matchup. It's TCM Gaming, and they did beat Fnatic this past week. So, we'll have to see what kind of potential they have. Do you have any thoughts regarding the match? I'm sure you probably haven't heard a lot about TCM.
I actually never heard about TCM, but if they beat Fnatic, they should definitely be a good team.
Yeah, actually, the third game, I was pretty surprised. They were running the two games they won. I had mentioned earlier, they ran Skarner and Morgana was really how they were able to pick up all their kills, just kind of picking people up, grabbing kills whenever they could. And they really snowballed from there. The third game, Fnatic had like Sona, Cassiopeia, Kennen top. They had just all of this incredible AoE damage. And TCM, I didn't feel like they had enough team control. But they were able to win like 3 fights in a row. They won one fight actually. It was like 5v3 at Dragon. They won a 5v3 at Dragon and stole the Dragon, and were able to snowball early. It should be pretty interesting to see how it goes. They start off by banning Karthus. So I don't know if that's an indicator that they're planning on running like that kind of melee bruiser team, which, of course, would be kind of countered a little bit by Karthus's AoE.
Yeah, definitely. Karthus is a big block to melee heavy comps, but I also feel like it's a wasted ban because obviously, there's a lot of people aren't very knowledgeable about one another, like EU and NA teams, and I, for one, know that CRS cannot play Karthus.
Never played Karthus.
So it's the wasted ban right there.
The next ban coming from Curse is going to be Talon, and then we have Galio from TCM. So getting rid of a little bit of that AoE, which should be pretty interesting. I'm not sure if anyone from TCM is known for playing Talon. I don't believe that we saw Talon last week. I'm kind of curious whether or not we did. I don't know. I'm wondering. I guess they must play Talon. We might have even seen them play Talon last week. And then Shyvana, of course, one of those strong champions. And then actually Shen, who this is on Tournament Realm, but the Tournament Realm was just updated last night. So Shen is buffed. This is the most recent patch, so definitely a strong band there. And then Cassiopeia for Curse, just one of those strong, standard strong champs that's really good in almost any comp. So. Do you have any thoughts on what Curse might be looking to play? Or I know they are a pretty versatile team. They kind of run a lot of different comps.
Well, they generally revolve around the AP carry, NY Jackie, and he can play a handful of champions, but not too many. So I feel like they banned Cassio. Ryze is still up. Ryze would be a real strong pick, so they could either field Ryze or AP Kog'Maw. And there's the Kog'Maw pick, and I do think they're gonna go for the protect the Kog'Maw. Drag it to mid-late game and have Kog'Maw carry the team. Either that or that could be AD Cog, and I could be wrong. But I can't really tell right now.
Yeah, and that would have been nice, to have someone like Galio or Morgana who, could kind of set up that AoE and have that kind of hyper carry kind of feel to the team. We did see Curse run against this previous match. I'm trying to remember who they played. Reflex. They did run AP Cog mid. That is kind of something they've been, known to work on, have that excellent poke damage. I'm kind of curious whether or not we'll actually see this Nautilus. So yes, we will. Do you think that's primarily going to be a jungle or down support potentially?
That should be a jungle pick, but I'm very surprised that CRS is picking Nautilus right now because I can't imagine that they'd have that much practice to be able to field it during a tourney match. But I guess they're really confident that Nautilus will fit their lineup.
Or that Nautilus would even be stronger pick than Rammus or Skarner or Maokai, who are also very aggressive early game junglers.
Yeah, I feel like they're picking Nautilus for the disruption factor in the team fights because having AP Kog'Maw, it's kind of vulnerable in team fights without a really stable front line, and Nautilus is probably one of the most stable front line heroes in the game.
That's true, and Crumbs, we have seen him. Does play a lot of those aggressive junglers. He is pretty good with the skill shot kind of junglers like Lee Sin. But it should be interesting to see. Nautilus isn't really a very fast jungler, so he is incredibly aggressive in ganks. And then, like you said, he is a very strong tank as the game progresses. But if TCM picks a strong jungler, potentially counter jungles as a team, keeps the blue buff away from Cog, if that's going to be an AP Cog, then it would be very difficult for Nautilus to control that blue buff in my mind. But I guess we'll have to see. And Corki, Soraka, is going to be a pretty strong bottom lane. It's hard to, push them out of lane. They have too much sustain with Soraka, and then also the mana will help Corki in that case.
So that's the Yorick pick coming out, and I actually believe that's support Yorick. It's not top lane Yorick, and they're running quite the innovative team comp right now.
That would be kind of interesting to see. I mean, I don't know. I would be Corki and Soraka. Corki does very well in lane, can be very aggressive, but probably can't get that much harass damage onto Caitlyn. Caitlyn's generally pretty strong.
Caitlyn definitely outranges Corki, and especially in the Soraka lane, even though Soraka's going to heal the harass from Caitlyn, early games, he is still susceptible to harass, and you can't ignore the fact that Yorick is going to be casting nukes left and right. So I'm actually... CRS's bottom lane is actually stronger than TCM's. And they're saving their last pick to counter pick.
Okay, so they are going to remake real quick, but just after the picks. But it is kind of interesting. Right now, it does seem like it's a heavy poke team from Curse. With Yorick and with Nautilus, they should be able to hold the front line. If that would be an AP Cog at this point. So Caitlyn has decent poke. Cog definitely, one of the strongest poke in the game. So if they can hold off to that late game, they will have some kiting capabilities with Yorick. Would be interesting to see whether or not, like you said, they are planning on to use him as a support, or whether they're going to, switch him to that top lane. I have never really seen Pobelter play Yorick, but
I think he's going. I don't think he plays Yorick, and I also think right now they know GP's going top lane, and Pobelter can actually play a lot of top lane champions. So he can go to Rumble, he can go to Vlad. Yeah, this is a Vlad pick, and that is Yorick. Vlad has quite good synergy. So I'm really liking CRS's comp right now. They have the hyper carry in the back, the AP Kog'Maw, who's not going to die. It's really, really hard to kill him. And also they have Vlad, who can just like stand in the front and do all this damage, and you can't ignore him, and then you choose to focus him. The support Yorick is going to ulti him. He's useless. It's a support. You're not going to focus the Yorick, and the ulti will definitely come out, and Vlad is going to come back again if he dies, and you still have you have Caitlyn in the back also doing sustained damage, and you also have Nautilus disrupting everyone. So overall it's a very strong team comp.
And the thing that should be interesting is when they kind of, siege those towers, Caitlyn does have the excellent range to take down towers, but, if they can just hold them in position in that narrow lane where Cog can just get that long, sustained poke, just over time wear them down, and it will be difficult for them to engage. But Gangplank does give them some engaging, potential. He does have that ultimate, along with the movement speed, it will allow them to close the distance very easily. So there is that potential. I'm trying to remember what the last pick was, but I guess we'll see it in a second. But they will have plenty of damage. The Corki with the Gangplank, that buff from Gangplank will allow Corki to be a very strong carry as the game progresses. So if they can engage onto Curse's team, then they will be able to, I would think, do extremely well in a team fight and just kind of, eat away at them, particularly early on before Vladimir can kind of get going. But Vladimir should be able to farm top pretty easily against Gangplank, so it'll probably be a free farm lane for the beginning, and Gangplank or Vladimir maybe taking over as the game progresses and gets to like level 9 or something.
Yeah, definitely. Vladimir is definitely the favorite to win that matchup. He's actually going to be always pushing GP into the turret. Maybe it won't start out at level 1, but as he picks up levels, there's nothing GP can do to win the lane. There's absolutely nothing. The only thing he can hope for is like Vlad overextends, and then GP randomly goes on Vlad, and then Skarner comes and ganks, and that can get them the kill. But otherwise, mid lane is just a farm lane. You pick Morgana into... They picked AP Cog into Morgana. So obviously, like, Morgana's not going to kill someone standing in the back. AP Cog is just going to sit in lane all day and try to farm up, and... Yeah, same thing for bottom lane. They're just going to farm up. They want to get to the mid game. And like you said, they do have an initiation with GP ulti and Skarner ulti, but on the other hand, you have CRS's anti-disengage. They actually have crumbs on the front line. You don't want Nautilus in the middle of your team. That's just asking yourself to get CC'd. And you also have Yorick slow, which is very good for kiting. You have Caitlyn trapped. You have Caitlyn, her E that pushes her away, and you also have the Kog'Maw slow, as well as Vlad Pool. So it's really, really hard to catch CRS. But they can get a good initiation off, especially if they can land a snare, and maybe Skarner can just pull someone, and even Nautilus, if they can burst them down before the fight happens, then it's worth it.
My primary concern is TCM, they do have kind of the comp that they want. If they can engage, then they do have a very good AoE comp. We'll be able to clear up pretty quickly. And then mid lane, Kog, of course, does want to farm. Morgana usually is a farm lane, but with the aggressive jungler of Skarner, Kog doesn't have a lot of survivability, but at the same time, Skarner tends to, he's a movement speed jungler. He'll just engage. But I guess we'll see. We will be coming back shortly. AL versus, or what is it?
CRS versus
Curse
TCM.
versus TCM. That's right. Curse versus TCM in a second. This is Curse versus TCM in our IPL4 qualifiers, and we will be coming into the game shortly. Kind of one of my main concerns, though, do you think that Kog will be able to use the slow to deter Skarner from ganking? Or, in that mid lane, if Skarner gets a flash ultimate on Kog'Maw, he should be able to pick up the kill. Is that, are they going to be able to ward against that and maybe have counter ganks from Nautilus to try and prevent that? Or how will they keep Kog alive and farming in this mid lane?
The only way that's going to be possible is if they double ward both sides, because Skarner can easily, even with wards, if you're not paying attention, like Skarner gets a jump on you, even if you try to flash away, you don't flash Skarner, like if you're not paying like full attention to the mini map. So that's why Skarner is such a threat from the jungle, because even if you see him coming, sometimes you're just in such a bad position in lane that you die, because nothing's gonna stop. Like AP Kog'Maw isn't going to stop Skarner from diving you into the turret, because you don't do any damage. There's no CC. There's no hard CC. If he can flash ult to you, more can follow up, and that's gonna be a free kill. So they definitely need to keep the wards up in this game.
Another concern is Nautilus. I've primarily thought of him as a ganking jungler. He's not someone that generally is great sustained through the jungle and just takes out all the creeps. But they don't really have a lot of ganking opportunities. So is he primarily just going to try and farm up as much as he can and wait until he can get involved in the mid game and, like you said, act as kind of the counter initiation and that kind of bruiser up front? Or is there one of these lanes in particular that he's going to try and abuse?
I feel like the only lane Nautilus can successfully gank will be top lane. So if he wants to try anything, he might just give Vlad an early lead. Like I'd say if Nautilus does go for an early gank, he's not going to be able to kill GP unless he's out of position with the red buff. But if he manages to take away like 200, 300 HP, Vlad will win the lane right there. It's just going to be done. And that's going to free up a lot of breathing room for Vlad.
And we actually have TCM coming. They're going to come over from this, Tribrush side, going to steal this blue buff potentially from Nautilus, which is definitely going to slow down his jungle a lot. There they have to come in, and there's the snare onto Elements. There's the flash in from Skarner, actually, and quick burst down with the Ignite. They're going to be able to get that kill. The flash in from Inky, there he goes. So first blood going to TCM, and now they'll be able to control this blue buff. And that's really going to slow down Nautilus, who's already, not the fastest jungler, though he does okay.
Yeah, that's definitely going to hurt Nautilus, because he's known as to be a very slow jungle clear, and without his blue buff, it's going to be rough for Nautilus.
I guess we'll have to see how he's going to be able to kind of get himself into this game. And the big concern is, the lane that he was probably wanting to help the most, Vladimir, get off to a good start. Gangplank getting that early kill, so will have plenty of sustain in lane with all of those health pots. Will have a ward at the start so that he knows he's going to be pretty safe from those Nautilus ganks.
Yeah, that first blood will definitely help out GP a lot. Now he's not even going to be able to get ganked also with that ward if he places it well.
Everyone going back to lane. The rest of the items that they got, we have a couple more wards from Soraka. Everyone getting health pots, so we'll wait probably an early Philosopher from Skarner, and that'll be nice. But Caitlyn getting a ton of damage onto Corki here, but they don't have the sustain in the lane. So, Soraka will be able to heal Corki back up over time, and, I guess we'll have to see whether or not that turns into an advantage for Cup or not.
Now, that harass from Elements is just hurting a lot.
Oh, wow. Inky just chasing down Pobelter there. Lots of damage early in this game. And
Yeah,
that's
Pole Belter, I mean, GP reached level 2 really, really fast, and now Pole Belter's at a big disadvantage. He's going to get pushed to his tower. That first blood was really a lot for gameplay.
where do you think the TCM will be looking to capitalize? I mean, I know First Blood isn't, all of the game. We already see, the huge advantage in this top lane. But what do you think Skarner in particular might do to try and capitalize on this advantage and continue pressuring Nautilus and maybe some of these lanes?
I feel like the truth is CRS's team comp in the early game, they're actually incredibly susceptible to counter jungling, especially with a Nautilus. Like AP Kog'Maw and Vladimir in the early game, they have no presence in skirmishes. So if Skarner, who's actually clears the jungle incredibly fast with blue buff, can decide to counter jungle, and they will have no answer. So that's definitely something Skarner should do. But if Skarner chooses not to counter jungle, he should definitely be ganking top lane.
And I am just absolutely shocked to see how much harass is coming off from Curse's bot lane. I guess I should have expected it since Yorick is, one of the strongest top lanes in the game. He does have excellent early harass, but just being able to spam onto Corki has given them a quick advantage in that lane. Do you think that they're, if as long as they wait out some of this lane, that'll change it all, or is this just going to be a really aggressive lane that they're going to have to deal with?
It's going to eventually be a farm lane, but in the beginning, it's going to be much harder for Corki because the damage output they're putting right now, and Sorakli simply has no damage right now, or no sustain.
But we do have Skarner coming in, and actually there's the exhaust, so Skarner is not going to be able to get in. Actually, he may be able to get in on elements. Skarner's going to run into that trap, though, so going to have to back out. Now they're chasing him down, get off some damage to hurt his jungle a little bit, but generally pretty safe in this lane. Maybe you want to get a ward up in the river soon, but I'm not sure that, even if Skarner gets in on them, they'll have enough damage to take him down unless Corki's able to, kind of engage along with him.
Yeah, Soraka's pretty scared right now. She can't do anything except just heal Corki from the back. I feel like Skarner wasted a lot of time with that game because Kate did blow her flash, but it should be up by the next time Skarner decides to gank. I highly doubt Skarner will gank until he's either taken his own blue buff or handed it off to Morgana. And then he'd still have to run through his own jungle.
With some of the changes to some of the supports, we have seen a lot of new supports coming out. Yorick has been a support in the past in some situations, but have you, experimented with Yorick at all or tried playing him some?
I personally have never played Yorick support, but I do know it's very good. I know it's viable and it's more teams can run it. I just haven't gotten to it.
How would you think that it compares with? I guess Nunu doesn't have the damage that Yorick has, but a little bit more utility through the mid game. But I guess, like you said, Yorick does have that ultimate to help out both Caitlyn and Vladimir through this the rest of this game. We do have Skarner coming up top, trying to see if he can get a gank onto Vladimir. Vladimir should be pretty safe in lane, but if Skarner, if he gets the pull timed right, and Skarner can get the chase on, but he's actually just going to be able to get out of there. There's the pull, but even so, the pull does chunk him a little bit.
Yeah, he gets out with basically only took one auto and a pull.
We do have Nautilus coming up here. Not really sure what he can do. Already a little bit of a level advantage for Skarner. And I don't know, that's just going to continue as the game progresses. Pretty much defensive game for the most part right now, but as people start getting their ultimates, I expect we'll see a lot more aggressive play from TCM. So coming into the mid game, what do you think that both teams are going to be trying to do? Is Curse really just, how are they going to stall for that late game? Because it seems like they're just focusing on an extremely late game comp. And then on the converse side, what is TCM going to try and do to just try and end the game early and take their early advantages?
I feel like TCM will try to force some dragon fights because they know for a fact that CRS's team comp is very weak early game. It's very, very weak. And if CRS is smart about it, they're not going to contest dragon because they're too weak. They're simply too weak to contest it.
And we were talking about earlier the potential for counter jungling from TCM. They do have this early strength, so they are going to try and come in and steal this blue buff since, we do need it. But actually, Janitin is going to come in, pick up a kill on the Crumbs. So not only do they get a kill, they get this blue buff. Kog'Maw isn't going to be able to take it, going to try and steal it. They are going to get it, and then they are in position to take this dragon as well. So Actually, they're just going to back away and not go for it. So I guess Skarner isn't really the strongest at taking down Dragon. They don't have a lot of damage right now, and just kind of comfortable with the slow press at this point.
Yeah, taking that was actually a free blue and a free kill. They don't need to press Dragon because right now Skarner only has a Philo Stone, and the bottom lane doesn't have a Claw. It's going to be really hard to take down Dragon, especially with the Morgana as your AP mid.
Looking around the lanes, we do see Vladimir has gotten a Ninja Tabi to kind of help him out a little bit in that lane. The movement speed will also help him avoid those Skarner ganks as opposed to going for like a fast Hex tech. But I guess let's see the farm. Kog'Maw winning slightly against Morgana, but that's really just even because Morgana's left lane a couple of times. All the lane farm seems pretty even. Vladimir is at a slight disadvantage to Gangplank, and that's primarily because of that early Skarner gank. I don't know what would Curse's main objectives be in trying to hold off this game and trying to just continue to push and just get some nice farm for their mid to late game.
I feel like if they avoid any 5-man team fights, they can just try to drag it out and make sure like Kog'Maw gets his level 16. Once Kog'Maw hits level 16, the game changes. If Curse isn't really behind, if it's relatively close game, then if CRS gets blue buff, it's going to be a near impossible situation for TCM to deal with, because I doubt many EU teams are familiar with it, but AP Kog'Maw at level 16 with adequate farm is it's so hard to deal with without the right team comp. It's basically impossible. Like Kog'Maw will have over 2,000 range with that ultimate. That is some poke.
I guess as long as you just keep kiting, then you can just get that long poke damage and really not have to worry about anything. But we do see Pobelter doing okay in top lane. Gangplank still has an advantage. Can't really get this lane off of the tower, so Gangplank doing a pretty good job of holding it over here. I'm sure Pobelter would love to have it more on his side, since Gangplank definitely has a little bit of an advantage at the lane this point.
Yeah, Vlad, that early gank really hurt Vlad to the point where right now he's not going to be able to take the upper hand until he shops. And that's not going to happen for a very long time.
Kog'Maw is farming pretty well, though. Has his tier. Building, do you think maybe towards Rod or get that Catalyst for the lane sustain?
Actually, he's going for a Rod.
Okay.
He usually his more typical build will be tiers, Catalyst. So he wants to have a Rod of Ages, and he also wants a Rylai. And so AP Kog'Maw will be very tanky.
They are coming in here, stealing some of those Wraiths. Kog was able to get a couple of them, but we'll probably see more aggressive counter jungling as the game progresses. Skarner once again coming top. It should be pretty difficult for him to go in, but Pobelter's pretty low, so they might consider tower diving it. But Vladimir definitely has significant damage, and there he knows that Skarner's there now, so we'll play pretty defensively now. Corki doing pretty well. Caitlyn actually has a 20 CS advantage, so really just in complete control of that bottom lane so far. And Curse, recognizing that Skarner was up top, is actually in position to potentially take this dragon. They're actually just going to back off, but I guess we'll have to see. Skarner, I don't know, just kind of seeing what he can do as far as taking control of that jungle, waiting for some buffs to respawn.
Yeah, I think they actually grouped around Dragon intentionally because they know that Skarner's actually planning to dive on Vladimir, and Vladimir can't town. He has so much minions waiting for him to get experience that I'm not sure if it was intentional or not, but grouping around Dragon really helped CRS right there.
We do have a Catalyst for Kog'Maw, so that's going to give him some nice sustain. We actually have the pull onto Crumbs, and he's probably going to go down. There's the snare. Crumbs will throw off the ultimate, trying to get out of there, but there's the stun from Morgana. They're going to be able to pick up that kill pretty easily, and maybe get a little bit of damage onto this tower, but probably just going to back off because Kog'Maw does have a lot of damage, but the snare will take off a little bit of her health. Morgana getting pretty low. Maybe going to recall. Maybe go for this dragon, actually, now that they know that Nautilus is out of there. So that'll help continue their advantage a little bit. And in the meantime, wow, Vladimir chasing down Gangplank up top is going to be able to pick up that kill with one more Q. There it goes.
That was good. That was good by Mobile too.
Oh, wow, and TCM engaging onto Curse as they're trying to take that dragon. Nijaki getting a lot of damage, but isn't going to be able to get any kills, and now they're turning onto him. There's the snare onto Nijaki. It actually hit one of Elements' little ghouls, so Nijaki just barely able to get out of there. The flash from Corki is going to be able to pick up the kill, and Caitlyn is going to throw off the ultimate onto Morgana. The shield does not block physical damage, so she's able to pick up that kill.
That was actually 2 for 2, and now Crumbs is back. Oh, he gets...
Wow.
As the Valkyrie goes down, Corki's dead.
Yep. So a couple of kills for Curse are going to help them out there. We do have some of Curse stopping in the office now, so we'll get to say hi to, or I guess Dignitas stopping in the office. Right, Curse is in this game.
That was actually really nice play by CRS. Curse right there. They came out on top because they managed to stop TCM from taking the dragon as well as coming out one ahead in kills over there. So that was really good play.
Yeah, and now they're going to be able to get this dragon potentially, but Crumbs is getting very low. He's very weak at taking dragon. They don't have enough damage. He's still going in, trying to take it. He can get the smite off and just barely get it, but now he's going to go down. There's Skarner coming in. There's the ignite, and Skarner potentially going to be able to get another kill. He does have his pull left, so he is going to get Elements.
This is going to be very bad for TCM.
Oh, but Pobelter, he's going to try and pick some people off, but they just don't have any slow or kind of disables. So
they have no CC without Crumbs. Without the Nautilus there, they have no CC.
So the lack of CC will kind of prevent them from taking any early objectives because they can't really force engagements, but I guess not really a concern for their kind of pushing team as the game progresses.
For this blue right now, and Vladimir is just in the center of everyone.
Yeah, and he will get snared by Morgana, or actually, sorry, the ult from Morgana, but he's going to be able to back off, and Cog is potentially going to try and chase people down. The snare does go off on the Cop. No one's going to go down here, but they can finally get that blue buff onto Nijaki, which will definitely help him out. Should be interesting to see, you know, once he's got that blue buff, Cog can basically just free farm. There's nothing you can do to stop him, you know, when he's got that long AoE damage.
Yeah, now that Cog has blue, he's gonna be able to pressure Morgan back to her own turret, and he'll be able to take raids.
So far, a pretty even game, though. TCM coming a little bit ahead pretty early, but the farm advantage is for Curse, and with those past couple of kills and with that dragon, they have taken a slight gold lead here, and they definitely have, you know, a stronger late game comp, though TCM has a vastly superior like team fight comp if they can force the engages that they like. So I guess we'll have to see. You know, Cop taking control of this bottom lane has been beating Corki, you know, fairly well, though Corki has caught up quite a bit. As you know, Curse has been looking to take objectives, and it is kind of hard to stop Corki from farming.
Yeah, in a Soraka lane with Corki, it's extremely hard, especially with the new buff to the mana buff. Like, he can just spam rockets and spam fast bombs.
Morgana, I'm assuming, is going to be getting Azonians just so that they can force some hard engages. We do have a Shirelia's on Skarner as well. I don't know. I'm kind of curious, you know, what TCM is going to be doing. Is if it's primarily going to be kind of a waiting game until the next dragon comes up, until they feel that they're strong enough to take Baron, which, you know, Gangplank does give a lot of Baron potential, but, you know, will probably be for a while because they don't really have anyone to tank it that well. Though with Soraka, of course, anyone can tank it fairly successfully. What do you think that TCM is going to be kind of looking to do? Is it just going to be more counter jungling and trying to get map control?
I think they're just trying to make something happen right now. They're gonna try to get some ganks off, and whatever lane they gank, if they get a gank off mid, they can potentially go for the mid tower. But I don't think it's going to work. And right now they did do a lane switch. They swapped GP out to mid because.
Oh, and Cog is going to get some good range damage, and there he goes. Crumbs just bursting down Farfane so quickly, along with the damage from Curse. Nijaki, and so that's a free kill. Nijaki with the double buff now.
That's free double buff on Nijaki. Did you like you saw Nautilus right there? This Carter couldn't even move. He was chain CC'd forever. He just couldn't move.
And it was kind of funny if you notice, Nijaki threw the first ultimate that Nijaki threw. Oh wow, I'm sorry. Nijaki actually teleporting bottom does have that red buff. Is going to be chasing down Corki. And getting a lot of damage here. Soraka very close to going down, along with the ultimate. One more ult from Nijaki will be able to pick up the kill. And I guess that's the strength of that, you know, teleport that they like taking. I mean, Cog doesn't need the ignite. It's way too short range for Cog to use. could maybe take, more survivability, but I don't know, pretty interesting play there.
Yeah, I mean, Kog'Maw isn't known for his great laning as an AP carry, so and since AP Kog'Maw has such long range, it's normally impossible to get to AP Kog'Maw. And if you can't get to him, no summoner spell will be able to save him. So having teleport gives you a lot of presence in a lot of lanes. So it's actually one of the best summoners to take on AP Kog.
I was about to say that last fight when Nautilus was able to pick up the kill, then onto Skarner, Cog Nijaki, actually he didn't throw the ultimate to hit Nautilus or to hit Skarner where he was. He threw it to on top of Nautilus because he knew that Nautilus was going to get the pull. So it just gave him a little bit more damage. But
yeah, that's a for sure hit. So it's a good play by Nijaki. I really don't like this lane swap by TCM because no matter where you put Vlad, Vlad counters GP in lane, and Vlad also, he actually counters Morgana more so than GP.
Right.
So that's why Morgana, as you saw earlier in that exchange earlier, Morgana had to blow flash, and she almost died just trying to lane against Vlad.
And I guess maybe the concern was to try and get Gangplank farm, but because Cog is kind of weak early in the game, but at this point, particularly with the red buff, there's absolutely no way that Gangplank is going to be able to sit in that lane, currently at least.
Yeah, I mean, GP is his only harass is one parley, and if you get a one parley off on AP Kog'Maw can simply press W and right-click you once, and it'll be the same exchange. But then Kog'Maw can also AoE you with his E, and he can also chain ult to you, so there's no way GP can come out ahead in this lane at this point.
Yeah, and with the Rod of Ages, he will have a heavy mana build. They are going to push in on this tower. They should be able to get it. Morgana coming up, trying to get in the snare. Vlad will just pull, so that'll be pretty easy for them to escape there. Dragon, I believe, should be up in about another minute. So there it goes, actually. So we might see some fights over Dragon shortly. It should be kind of interesting. I think, Curse, definitely with their advantage, they don't want to pressure Dragon really quickly, but if they can hold TCM in place and allow Nijaki to get off that ranged harass with this blue buff, if he can, as long as he can control it, that would definitely help them out.
Okay. Kog'Maw manages to get the blue buff right before the Dragon fight. They can force the Dragon right here.
And the big thing is, as long as they can get them kind of in the narrow river, I mean,
dangerous.
Cog just throwing off all this damage.
Good ward placements right there.
Yeah, and Crumbs actually throws the ultimate off onto Corki. Morgana does come in, and there's the flash in from Skarner as well. Gets the pull onto Nijaki, but they don't have enough damage. And so Pobelter was able to pick up the kill onto Corki. Gangplank is very close to picking up the kill onto Pobelter. One more attack is able to get it. And then Cog was able to clean up the rest of the kills around that Dragon. And yeah, so just the long sustained damage of Cog. Skarner and Morgana definitely didn't have enough damage to take him out, just the two of them.
Yeah,
so
that Rod Aegis definitely made Kog'Maw way too tanky for that burst to take him down. And Pobelter did a very nice job. He went straight for the AD carry, and he managed to zone the other two champions, and he just ran to the left so that his team could be ensured to finish off the rest of the champions. Had Pobelter stayed in the vicinity of the fight, he would have died still, and then GP could have collapsed onto the weakened Kog'Maw, but he chose to lead them out towards the mid lane.
And along with the Will of the Ancients on Vladimir, that will be some nice sustain for Kog'Maw as well. But I don't know, they definitely have a really strong late game team and are up 7,000 gold. I don't know, the key is really if TCM can hold them in as a group, and we saw that Morgana did hit the majority of them in her ultimate, but then they just kind of split up. Gangplank and Corki, going to one side instead of trying to come after Kog'Maw and Caitlyn, and really didn't work out that well for them. And I guess that's the big thing is, the long sustain from Vladimir helps, counter out. They've got the, the poke from Cog, and then, like you said earlier, that hard carry from Vladimir in the longer team fights.
Yeah, definitely. CRS is in a good spot right now. They had to avoid being snowballed early against. It was looking pretty rough when TCM took the first blue. Yeah, I thought maybe it'll snowball into them taking more and more blues, but CRS managed to gain back control of their own blue, and now they're ahead of.
And so we do have the slow. Skarner is going to pull his Shurelius, so they are going to be able to get out of there. but just trying to chase them around. Kog'Maw going for a Rabadon's, I'm assuming that's going to be an excellent amount of damage. I was kind of wondering whether or not he would do that or the Realize, just because the slow on his ultimate, is so strong. But I guess they aren't primarily looking to engage, but we actually have Farfane. He's getting caught out of position here, and there's the ultimate from Caitlyn. They are going to be able to pick up that kill. Corki trying to throw off some damage, but gets chunked by Pobelter, and now Morgana is out of position. Same with Gangplank, and we do have the ultimate from Nautilus is going to be able to pick up that Gangplank. Lots of sustained damage from Kog'Maw. Just complete control of these fights now.
Nautilus' CC is just ridiculous.
And I guess that's the thing. That's why they don't need like a Realize onto Cog, because they don't want to engage the fight until they can pick someone off with Nautilus. And then once they pick someone off, Nautilus has them completely locked down.
Yeah, the thing is with CRS's team comp, NY Jackie doesn't have to fork in 3,000 gold just for 80 AP, because he has Yorick with the slow, he has Nautilus on the front line, and he also has Vlad, who's actually going to be right where Nautilus is because they have Yorick ulti. They want Vlad to be focused, and since they have so many targets in the front, AP Kog'Maw will essentially be untargetable, so he's just going to build pure damage.
So, I mean, it's pretty clear that the key is to get an engage on the Kog'Maw. We do see the Shurelya's. They're actually chasing, wow, the flash and then the pull from Crumbs is going to be able to pick up the kill there. I'm sitting here just looking at this and trying to think of any way that TCM can get back into this game at this point, because Curse's late game comp is just so strong. I don't know, what would you think they would be trying to do? Do they need to, try and press objectives, or maybe you change between pushing multiple towers down, or?
They really need to group right now. It's the only way is if Morgana gets a good ultimate off, and possibly if they group and catch CRS out of position, like if they're not grouped also, then TCM has the best chance. But I feel like in a 5v5 engage, outside of Cog maybe somehow getting gibbed, there's nothing TCM can do.
And we do have Morgana trying to come in on Vladimir, but he will be generally pretty safe. And the teleport from Jackie, Vladimir does go down, and TCM able to pick up a couple of kills along with Corki here. Wow, so they are going to see if they can chase down the rest of Curse, but now most of their damage is gone. If they can get an engage, they don't really have a means of chasing him down, but they could potentially go for a Baron here. I'm a little bit surprised that they're not kind of, pressuring it, particularly since Caitlyn is down bottom lane.
I feel like they thought they just didn't have enough damage because they still have 2 people alive mid lane, and they have Morgana and Skarner, who are both very poor at killing, and Soraka too. They're incredibly poor at killing Dragon. I mean Baron, so they probably just wanted to back off. But that was really good play by TCM. Like I think NY Jackie, he TP'd into a horrible situation. Like he thought maybe there's only 2 people here, but no, there's like the whole team was waiting for him. So he ended up wasting his TP, and he also gave a free kill.
And so they do get a tower, and then they should be able to grab this blue, which is going to be devastating for Kog'Maw. Cog did get a lot of mana items, so, will be pretty good as far as that's concerned. But regardless, it is an issue. And there's the ultimate from Nautilus. It's chasing down Gangplank. It's able to hit a couple of them. They do have the Shurelya's popped, as well as TCM Shurelya's. Tries to get a hook, just barely can't land it. Pobelter is still engaging. He's trying to chase someone down. He's going to get a lot of damage onto Soraka. Maybe be able to pick up the kill there. The snare will keep her alive, along with that shield from Morgana. But Curse is now potentially going to start pushing because they know they can just kind of hold them at a tower and win those long fights.
That damage on AP Kog'Maw
wow.
is ridiculous.
It's just constantly going. He's throwing it. It's got a 1 second cooldown, so he's just chunking them every single time it hits. It's just devastating at this point in the game. And there's the pull from Crumbs. He's going to be able to pick up the kill. We actually have the flash out from Gangplank.
So low, they can't do anything.
And now Cog is just going to be able to chase people down. We did have the Caitlyn ult, and then he's going to be able to get that range damage. One more ultimate, but he's actually low on mana now, and that's what taking his blue. And there's the pull from Farfane. Crumbs very close to going down. Will actually pull to the wall and then uses Shurelya's to get out of there. Kog'Maw tanking that tower for him so he can get out. I can't believe Crumbs just survived there. An excellent pull by Crumbs. So they are going to back off, see if they can maybe take this dragon, since TCM is still, kind of recalling here. But they will want to get back quickly because it is giving TCM kind of another advantage to potentially take Baron now. because all of Curse is so low. Though again, they still don't have the best Baron team.
Had anyone Jackie got his blue buff, that situation would have been 10 times better for Curse. But it was a good thing they stole Curse's blue buff, or else he'd just be. They just keep nonstop pushing right now.
I'm kind of a little bit surprised that we're not seeing TCM go for a really aggressive Baron at this point, just knowing that they kind of need to take advantage of the game when they can. But do you think that as the game progresses, as long as they can bring the farm back up and get a good engage, that they still have a really strong late game team? Because they have Corki, they have Gangplank for the late game pressure.
If Corki gets very farmed to the point where he can kill the front line in a few seconds, I feel like they can get back in the game. But that's so far down the line. So I think it's very much in Curse's favor right now, because they can't really force a Baron fight, because all Curse has to do is ward the Baron Cove, and everyone in that cove will be dying to AP Kog'Maw. All you have to do is ward it, and if you try to clear that ward, you still get hit.
Yeah, we do have Curse. They do have a Oracles on Crumbs, so they know that all the wards are cleared off. Trying to kind of bait in a fight. You maybe get some good poke down in these narrow corridors for Nijaki, and there they see him, so they have the Shrelias go off, and Nijaki is going to start throwing off that damage. The snare goes off onto Crumbs, but Crumbs doesn't mind if he's going to be taken down, so Inky's taking a lot of damage. Morgana does flash in and throw off the ultimate. Pobelter's getting very low. Will go down to the Ignite. One more hit goes down, and Nijaki now is tearing into them. The rest of the team was just too tanky for that damage, and they're going to be able to pick up a couple of kills. And there's the ultimate from Caitlyn. The one last kill. Oh, the Kog'Maw able to pick it up. So able to pick up the Baron now, should be pretty easy. I'm a little bit surprised that it's just incredible how long the range is on Kog'Maw's ultimate.
Basically, you get one ulti in the range, and you can just chain it, because the ultimate does give you vision. So if NY Jackie had a Rylai's on a fleeting opponent, it's just, if they're within range, it's pretty much like guaranteed flash. You have the flash or you're going to die.
Well, with this Baron buff, Kog'Maw, let's see, 436 ability power. So, yeah, he's just going to be constantly whittling down the enemy. They seem to get a pretty good engage, though. It all started off with Gangplank getting picked off, which, definitely isn't what you want to happen. If Gangplank could maybe play like that anti-carry along with the Morgana Flash ultimate and maybe pick off the Kog'Maw, that could help him out. But then the concern is, with the sustained damage that Vladimir has, if, he's just going to be tearing into you. And then if Yorick ults Kog'Maw, if he's going to go down, Kog'Maw is still going to get a lot of damage on you, particularly if you're all grouped up trying to chase down the rest of the team. TCM doing an okay job in the fights, though, but I think at this point, we're all pretty much agreed that Kog is just incredibly powerful. I don't know. What anything? Is there any super secret pro tip that will get them out of this? Because Kog is just raining down death.
It's in my opinion.
Yeah, this game is over.
There is no answer to AP Cog late game if you don't have like a specific comp that can actually rush down champions, that can rush past like 1 or 2 points of disengage. Like, look at this. He has blue buff.
He doesn't even know where they are. He can just spam it.
It's too much pressure. And I feel like the only way TCM can win this fight is if they bait the fight and Vladimir comes in and...
Oh, and there's the hook from Crumbs. Janitin is very close to going down. Won't even be able to get off the ultimate. And Kog, now that he has vision, can just poke these people down. He does throw off the ultimate and the Zonias. Pobelter close to going down, but will be able to chase these people down. And now there's the pull from Crumbs onto Valky's. Another kill. There's an ace. They will get an inhibitor. They will be able to push the Nexus. That's a GG. We'll probably see a surrender any second now. But game 1 going to Curse over TCM. Ban Kog? Or do you just, put more pressure early game and not allow him to get to this point?
Definitely, if you ran a snowball comp, like snowball-esque, like you could definitely have control over Kog. Like, had they kept taking blue over and over, and Nautilus was behind this game. They allowed him to get back into the game because they made a few mistakes.
Right.
But had TCM played the early game better, I feel like Kog'Maw wouldn't have been as big as a threat as he became.
And I'm surprised that TCM didn't kind of focus gank him a little bit more. I thought that was kind of the whole point of the Skarner pick was, Kog'Maw did seem like the vulnerable lane, and yet I don't know if there was ever a gank mid.
Yeah, it's really hard to gank Kog'Maw because once he hits level 6, he from right next to his tower, he's just gonna cast E, cast R, and that alone can clear the ranged minions, and afterwards he can just auto down the melees. So he never has to extend even close to mid river, and also if you notice the river is double warded on both
Right.
sides. Just in case Skarner comes from the back side. So the only possible place that Skarner can come from are the side brushes, and he can't come from those areas.
Well, congratulations to Curse taking the win. This is a best of 3, so we'll see how TCM is going to move against it. We just want to do a couple of shout-outs. Make sure to check us out at youtube.com/IPLLOL. Subscribe there. This is, we are going to do a shout-out. Thank you to Curse for, participating in our tournament. They did just have their huge Curse tournament, and so check them out at lolpro.com, lolpro.com. They're going to have lots of cool content for you, as we do as well. If you have any highlights, I will say once again, send them to us, not Curse. You can send them to Curse if you like. But send us highlights, your best plays to IPLLOLreplays@gmail.com, and we'll put them up. But good game 1. What do you think they'll probably be looking to do to change it up game number 2 for TCM?
I feel like they definitely, now that they know that CRS plays AP Kog'Maw at like this kind of, especially with the ping disadvantage also, AP Kog'Maw is even better because it's even harder to dodge those skill shots. So I feel like, I know EU doesn't play AP Kog'Maw, so they're not gonna learn how to deal with it on the fly in a best of 3. So next game, if they're good about it, they're gonna ban Kog'Maw just straight up.
And what about that bottom lane? Since Caitlyn and Yorick were able to take such a huge advantage early in that game with that excellent harass. Caitlyn has always kind of been one of the strongest DPS laners with her great range. What do you think that TCM might be looking to do in this upcoming match to kind of counter that out some, or just get themselves a little bit more farm early in the game?
No, I think the bottom lane actually did okay. Like they were pressured early, but that's not what lost them the game. Like Corgi was doing fine with Soraka. They managed to do the job. They're just farming a lane. It's just Morgana versus AP Kog'Maw or GP versus Vlad. Like, what did they both bring to the team fights? It's just CRS got ahead in the laning phase, and they just did so much more than their carries. So I feel like if you just ban out the problematic carries that you don't have like a quick solution for, and maybe if you pick a little better, and if they don't make as many mistakes this game, then they'll be doing a lot better, make a better showing than last game.
Okay, well, thank you, everyone. We're going to go to a commercial, and then we will have Hat Person back here for game number 2. Once again, I'm the Red Baron at Baroncast. Thanks for tuning in for our IPL4 qualifiers. Make sure to go to tickets.ign.com if you want to go to Vegas. It is going to be April 6th through 8th, and it is an open event. If to under 21, you just can't, of course, drink and go to any casinos there. But it's tickets.ign.com, and we'll be back in a second. We also have South by Southwest this upcoming. It's March 8th through 10th, I believe, and it's in Austin, Texas. It's a huge entertainment event. You can come out and check us out. We're going to be having a huge show match there. It's Team Epic, but Dyrus is going to be on the other team. It's like an all-star kind of thing, and so it's Team Epic with Atlanta, and then Dyrus and some people from V8 and like Lapaka, a bunch of kind of people crammed together. So that'll be fun. Definitely, check us out there. And it's free, actually, if you come. And so you could, meet people like Dan Din. All of Epic will be there, along with, a bunch of other people like Tree Eskimo and Atlanta. So make sure to check that out. We will be back shortly with game number 2. Stay tuned.